Legislative is divided into two types, called unicameral legislative and bicameral legislative. Most of the people always get confused about all these. So when we say unicameralism, it refers to the practice of having only one parliamentary or legislative chamber to perform legislative activities or like passing a budget, enacting laws, maintaining admin, discussing matters of national or international importance. Most of the country have unicameral legislative like Norway, Sweden, New Zealand, Hungary, China, Sri Lanka, and many more. But when we say bicameral legislature, it is having two or more branches. Bicameral legislature has two separate houses or chambers to perform legislative functions. The bicameral form of legislature in the Philippines are two. First, we have the Senate. Senate is composed of 24 senators, half of which are elected every 3 years. Each senator serves a total of 6 years. The senators are elected by the whole electorate and do not represent any geographical district. Second is the House of Representatives. It is the lower chamber of the Congress that composed of 240 congressmen. There are two types of congressmen, the district representative and the sectoral representative. These are the qualifications for senators and congressmen. First, natural-born citizen of the Philippines. Second, at least 35 years old. Third, able to read and write. Fourth, Philippine resident. And last is registered voter.
Parliamentary privilege refers to the privileges and immunities that are regarded necessary for the House of Commons as an institution and its members and as elected representatives to carry out their duties. It also refers to the House's powers to defend itself, its members, and its procedures from undue interference, allowing them to carry out their primary task of legislating, deliberating, and holding the government accountable. First, privilege from arrest. It only applies to arrest in civil proceeding which were still popular in this country at the time the Constitution was written. It does not apply to serving of process in civil or criminal matters, nor to arrest in any criminal case. The phrase treason, felony, or breach of the peace is taken to mean that all criminal offenses are excluded from the privileges used. Second, privilege of speech and debate. The immunities of the speech or debate clause were not established into the Constitution for the personal or private profit of members of Congress, but to maintain the legislative process integrity by ensuring individual legislators' independence.
Membership and ground impeachment. Public office is a public trust. If they commit wrong doing, punishment awaits for some top official like president and vice president. If someone does something wrong or their appointment is abused by, they can be removed by impeachment. Kahit president ka pa or kahit vice president, ombudsman, kapag inabuse mo yung trono mo, yung position mo, maaari kang matanggal by impeachment. Kasi according to 1987 Constitution Article 11 Section 2, the President, Vice President, the members of the Supreme Court, and the members of the Constitutional Commissions and the Ombudsman may be removed from office by impeachment. Ang mga public official na na-impeach na dito sa atin sa Pilipinas ay sina dating Presidente Joseph Estrada on November 13, 2000, Mercedes Gutierrez, dating Ombudsman, si Renato Corona, dating Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and si Andres D. Bautista, Chairman of the Commission on Elections. They can be impeached only of the following grounds. First, culpable violation of the Constitution. Second, treason. Third, bribery. Fourth, graft and corruption, other high crimes, and betrayal of the public trust. Step in impeachment process. There are 8 steps on how impeachment doing. Number 1 is filing. Any congressman of at least 1/3 of all House members can initiate of impeachment compliant, and the citizen may also file and complain with should be endorsed by a House members. Number 2 is referral to Speaker. Compliance should be filed by Secretary General of the House and submit to the Speaker of the House. Number 3 is inclusion in order of business. Within the 10 session days from receipt, the Speaker should include in complaint in the House of Order of Business within 3 session days after inclusion. Referral to House Committee on Justice. That's our number 4 step. The complaint should be referred to the House of Committee on Justice.
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President,
Number 5 is committee hearings.
members of Congress,
Committees should conduct hearings to see if the impeachment complaint is sufficient in form and substance.
COVID-19 kept us apart.
Number 6 is submission of report.
Tonight,
So, after sining limang akong sharing, number 6 is submission of report.
most importantly, as
In the 60 sessions days from referral, the Justice Committee should submit the report in formal resolution to the House plenary. Number 7 is House vote. Justice Committee would set the article of impeachment. The complaint, at least 1/3 of all House members is needed to endorse the complaint to serve to the Senate. And lastly, impeachment trials begins when the Senate setting of the impeachment court. At least 2/3 votes Senate members is needed to conduct an official according to article of impeachment. The impeached official is then removed from office.
Drafting a bill. Any member in the Congress can make a bill, whether from Congress or Senate, who has a proposal for a law. These suggestions come from members of Congress as well as ordinary citizens and advocacy groups. After the bill drafted, it will go to the bill drafting division of the Reference and Research Bureau prepares and drafts the bill upon the member's request. A bill determines where it came from or originated and is properly labeled. If it will come from Congress, it must be labeled as House Bill. If it will come from Senate, it must be labeled as Senate Bill. There are 3 readings in making a law. First reading, the presiding officer shall read the title of the bill, number, and its author. The bill will pass to the appropriate committees. After being reviewed by the committee, they recommend whether approved or not. If the bill was approved by the committee, it will go to the Committee on Rules. Committee on Rules will set the schedule about the discussion on the bill. In second reading, the chairman will make a sponsorship speech to convey co-lawmaker to make it pass. This is the time for the discussions and debate. After that, there will be a period of revisions, changes to provisions, and comments from disputes. The co-lawmaker will have an amendments of the bill to have some additional things on it. After the period of amendments, the House of Congress and Senate will make a vote whether it passed or get denied. There are three ways of voting: viva voce, raising hands, and nominal voting. To pass and get through, it is necessary to get 2/3 of the votes from the members. When the yes is majority, that would be the time for the approval of the second reading. In third reading, the final version of the bill has been issued and distributed to all members for review. During the voting, the bill number and title shall read by the speaker and roll call or nominal voting. There will be no changes, additional or amendments in the bill. If we'll get a majority yes, that would be the time for the approval of third reading. The bill has a different version. The Congress and Senate will separately pass the bill. The upper and lower houses were met for the discussions on the bill. To make a reconciliation of the bill, they will be having a bicameral conference committee wherein the House of Representatives and Senate shall have a representative to talk the bill privately. The results of the deliberation and conference committee report shall approve it could be yes or no only. If it passes, it will be presented to the President and have a signature. The President of the Philippines will have a 30 days to sign the bill. Once the President will sign the bill, it will become RA or Republic Act with the number. If it has already been passed to the President and he has not signed it after 30 days, it would automatically become a law. However, the President may disapprove the bill because he has a right to refuse through his veto power. After the disapproval, the bill will go back where it came from, in the House of Representatives or Senate, with a valid reason of being refused. It can be also become a law through voting in the Congress or Senate that would garner 2/3 of vote.
Function of Congress. There are 6 types of function of Congress: electoral function, executive function, investigative function, judicial function, financial function, and statute-making function. Electoral function or electoral system or voting system is a set of rules that determine how election and referendums are conducted and how the result are determined. Political electoral systems are organized by government, while non-political elections may take place in business, non-profit organization, and organizations. Electoral function. When we say electoral function, from its word function, it is the work of the Committee on Election. It is their prime concern to secure the flow of the election. It is the function and the proper process of election, especially in how to get the result. They are the one who manage it using a PICOS machine. Executive function. Executive function or executive department are responsible for selecting, interviewing, and hiring vice president and directors to run various departments. Executive who work within these departments must make sure all of functional areas like marketing are run effectively. Executive function or executive department is the one who monitoring behavior that facilitate the attainment of chosen goal. This department are responsible for selecting manpower and enforces law.
My topic is all about investigative function and judicial function that are part of the 6 type of the Congress function. First, the investigative function. When we say investigative function or task, it was all about related to the identifying evidences, gathering various of information, evidence collection, evidence protection, interrogation, witness interviewing, and lastly, suspect interviewing. In short description, the term investigative function was focusing to the main power or inquiry that related in monitoring and conducting different human beneficial resources involving the function in writing of a good legislation, and when it comes in informing the public. Next is the judicial function.
The judicial function, on the other hand, was all about the role in our society that holding the social order itself. It refers to the system that interpreting and applying law-specific junctions or cases are determined and precise. It is like all about giving judgment or the power to judge. This function defines the procedures wherein the different applications of pre-existing norms or some cases of prior patterns or precedents is in legitimate process and had been recognized by our political system.
So another functions of Congress. So we have a financial function. So the process of developing the first year congressional budget differs from that the second and subsequent year in a one clear way. So after the first year, an office can look on its own spending patterns to generate the budget for the next year. So this information becomes more significant when it utilized to determine whether a budget accurately reflects to the goals of an office. So when it comes to budgeting, congressional office have two options. First, they can start with the last year's budget and make the obvious changes such as accounting for inflation, personal turnover, or increase and decrease allotments. Or they can follow a more difficult and often resisted path that has more to offer and is more rewarding. So this method necessitates assessing if their budget is spent in accordance with their priorities. So the last function of Congress is statute making functions. So legislatures create statutes which are laws. So this refers to the United States Congress, which consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate. So state legislatures create state laws. So a fairly particularly patterns governs how legislatures draft laws. So including which chamber must introduce the bill or if it is must be considered in committee. So or how it is passed to the other chamber or other whether or how and when it is delivered to the president of the United States or the state governor for signature. So some laws govern individual or business activity. So they can either restrict or compel specific behaviors. However, if you refuse to obey the law, you may face civil or criminal penalties. Civil penalties for non-compliance with the statute often includes. That's all. Thank you.